marketing, sales, engineering across Nutanix, Dell, and Cisco. She's also an angel investor and startup board member. She served in nonprofit boards focused on economic empowerment, women, children, and education. She has an MBA with honors from UCLA Anderson School of Management and MS Information Systems with distinction from BITS Pilani, India. Wow, that's a lot, Preethy. With that said, I would like to welcome you to the show. And Preethy, this is amazing. You've been there and our paths are crossing all over. Recently, we did a cloud panel with the TICON too. It was amazing. So look forward to, having you take it over with Erika here.
Thank you, Janaki. What a pleasure to be here with all of you. And thank you, Erika, for joining us in this closing keynote. We had an amazing lineup of panels and keynotes today. So I'd like to start by introducing you, Erika, and setting the stage for how women lead. So Erika Cramer is an accomplished investment banker, executive and advisor and board member who leads corporate objectives and turnarounds to 25 plus years in M&A, recapitalization, capital raising, divestitures, and valuations. While serving as a partner and chief compliance officer at Silver Lane Advisors, Erika completed 52 transactions involving over 240 billion in assets under advisement and management. She has raised capital for alternative investment products and early stage fintech firms. She is a former board director and audit chair of the country's oldest African-American life insurance company, Atlanta Life Insurance Company. Erika is an advisory board member at Open Invest, a venture-backed fintech asset manager focused on impact investing. She also serves as a board director for Trips for Kids Marin, which provides cycling experiences for underserved youth. So today, we are looking to talk to her about how women lead. So Erika, tell us about how women lead and why it was started.
Sure. Well, first of all, I am just so incredibly honored to be here today on Better Late Than Never, International Women's Day. It's a really great honor to be here with all of these fabulous women that I heard speak today, some of whom I've been able to connect with in the past year, actually. And happy Deepavali as well. I just want to wish everybody that, particularly in this unique year. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if this works. Let's see. Did that work? Is that working?
Not yet. Can someone confirm?
Okay, hang on. Let's see if this works. Does that work?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So very much like Atia, How Women Lead has a similarity in terms of link, learn, and lead. It was founded by my dear friend and business partner, Julie Castro Abrams, in 2015. And it was started to create equity in the system, to create systematic change in the system by elevating women in corporate leadership. And there are essentially three arms. We have this amazing network of 13,000 professional women. We just celebrated Women on Board Week, and I think, Preethy, you were part of that, and a few other women on today's panels and discussions have also participated. And it's all about this beautiful combination of women giving, women leading, women volunteering, and women investing. How Women Lead seeks to create systematic change by movement building and awareness and training. With How Women Lead, like we had Women on Board Week, we've done numerous things to elevate and bring women more into the corporate boardrooms here in the United States. We train women. We have a board readiness program that I've volunteered, and other women have volunteered in terms of, and to have all of these very senior women, C-suite executives, board directors, serial entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, attorneys, just these amazing women that are already board ready women and already prepared. But sometimes, as it's been noted today, women seek self-advocacy, self-efficacy. So having that ability to be in a room with other women in a safe environment to learn what it means to be in a boardroom if they haven't experienced it yet. We have a Women Give arm as well, which we'll talk about later. There's always a legislative piece as well, and we'll talk about that next, I believe. But we've been advocates in changing law, and that's one of the few ways, one of the most meaningful ways that we create systematic change. And then we have How Women Invest. So everything that we've done on on bringing more women into corporate leadership, into corporate boardrooms, we're applying the same programming towards How Women Invest. So we have an angel training program. We have a lot of movement building and awareness where we seek to bring other gender lensed funds. So I'm hoping to connect with all the women on the prior panel to make sure that we continue to build this ecosystem of gender lensed investing.
Fantastic, Erika. Wow, 13,000 professional women. I think that is one of the largest professional women association that I've been part of. There is a quote by Gandhiji called "Be the change you want to see in the world." And in the earlier keynote, Anna was talking about how there hasn't been much movement these past 20 years. And it is so refreshing to hear the How Women Lead initiative, wherein we have then taken charge to go and make the change in the boardroom, make the change in the investment landscape. I really look forward to hear more from you. But before that, let's hear about the How Women Lead values. What are the core principles by which it was started?
Yes, this is one thing that I truly love, and we begin every meeting with this credo. And I think all of us as women, maybe as young girls, we experienced some form of bad girl behavior or mean girl behavior. I've seen it with my two daughters. I don't know, something happens during those pre-puberty years. And even as we grow older, and like RT, I grew up in an industry that was pretty much dominated by men. I was always the only female in my finance classes, investment banking, conducting M&A advisory in financial services. So I was always working with other male clients, but I never looked at myself as a male. If there was another woman, at times I had found that that woman didn't always stand up for me. Maybe it was because they thought if there was only one woman in the room, there couldn't be room for more than one. So this credo is just truly, it truly resonates, and we love starting every discussion with this credo, which is to be fierce advocates for one another, saying yes to each other and connecting to each other. So that's a huge, and I've heard this message reinforced today, that it's important to connect with one another. My LinkedIn is open for connection. I may not share all my contacts because I respect everyone's privacy, but I'm always willing to make connections where I can. To reinforce her voice. We see this happen more often with men in boardrooms than it happens with women. And so we need to make sure that we reinforce her voice and be unabashedly visible. My partner, Julie, has made this a huge action item for me in particular. I haven't always felt comfortable being visible on TV or radio, and before you know it, here I am. So we need to be visible, and the reason why, and Julie always puts it so beautifully, is because her daughter is watching and my daughters are watching, and really important to be visible and lead by example.
Absolutely. You are a true role model, Erika. You're a natural. I'm so amazed by this transition and the credo. So let's dive into the How Women Lead portion. You talked about how Women Lead made laws get passed, and we had the CASB 926 law by which we are increasing the number of women on boards. And how did that law come about, and what is the mandate for companies?
Certainly. Well, we had very dismal numbers in recent years, and How Women Lead sought to disrupt that. So Julie, along with other colleagues and volunteers and other organizations, she's actively involved in Women Board 2020. There was this huge effort to create systematic change through law, but also activism. We see this with asset management companies now more than ever, with the desire and the importance of investing in companies that have women on boards. As I mentioned, I sit, or you mentioned it actually, I'm an advisory board member for a fintech company called Open Invest. And what they do is they have a factor overlay system that where you can select companies that are part of equity indices and factor overlay to participate or invest in those companies that have women on boards and have a certain percentage of women in that represent the executive leadership team. So the mandate that Julie and others brought to Governor Newsom and to the state of California was to ensure that every publicly traded company in the state of California must have at least one woman on the board by the end of 2019, and 2 to 5 by 2021. So it was writing letters and a lot of grassroots engagement to change California state law. And now we have 6 other states that have followed California by example. And if you think about all the companies in California, all our technology companies, all the startups that have evolved to publicly traded companies here in California, so with penalties. So there's the part where we have to ensure and police that, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is fantastic, and I would love to hear the impact this particular mandate has created.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been amazing when you take movement building and you take awareness and you take that all in combination with legislative action, change does happen. And so this is an example or a report done by Equilar, one of How Women Lead's partners. And the appointments in this year, we now see 40% of appointments represented by women in corporate directorships. It's still a fraction for women of color, and we seek to drive more change in that. You'll see in 2017, the state of California with publicly traded companies and was only 15.6% represented by women, and that has dramatically changed to 24.7%. But we are not going to stop there. That's not good enough, and we want to see that increase multifold.
Absolutely. And this is fantastic. And even as you see here over the last 4 years, it is a 500% increase from 5% to 25%. That's phenomenal. And I do remember earlier this week, we heard the new mantra, we are 50-50, we want parity on board. So that is great next step for us to aim towards. And the great part is, Erika, after making a dent in the board landscape, How Women Lead did not stop there. You also looked at investment landscape and the fact that only 5% of accredited women investors are actually participating in investing versus 30%. And you decided to make a change there. So tell us about How Women Invest.
Yes, so this is when Julie asked if I wanted to join her in this mission and to form a for-profit entity as a sister entity to How Women Lead. So, and this really came about because of the network of 13,000 women, many being serial entrepreneurs, many I'm sure that are in this virtual room today, in this virtual conference room, where women who have tried to seek capital couldn't. We seek to disrupt the venture capital landscape and create equity in the venture landscape. So our mission is actually multifold. Well, let me talk about the reason why this is so important. Women actually perform better as investors. We've seen that with alternative investments in hedge fund managers and mutual funds. Certainly diversity increases return for any performance entity. But what we have found, or what the studies have concluded, is that women are actually more capital efficient. They tend to outperform in terms of return for their investors, and we generate higher revenue. And maybe that's because we've had lack of capital supporting investors, female investors, that we've been forced to be more capital efficient in order to drive that revenue generation. If venture capital investors were to invest in more female founders, a Morgan Stanley study recently concluded that we would add $4.4 trillion more to LPs if venture capitalists invested more in female founders. Part of the challenge is that we don't have enough female venture capitalists. And so, as I mentioned, How Women Lead, How Women Invest, the mission is multifold. We're trying to bring more women into their own self-worth and recognize their own wealth and power by bringing angel investing classes. It's a very safe environment for women and men to come together and learn at a high level about what it means to be an angel investor. Nancy Hayes, she's a university professor. She conducts this 2-part course in a very beautiful, safe way where you can ask, where no question is a dumb question. That's what my mother always told me. There's no such thing as a dumb question. So part of it is to bring more women into the venture capital landscape. So I'm very excited to be part of this conference today, where we have some aspiring venture capitalists in the room that are women. The other challenge, of course, and Preethy, you have mentioned this already, and this pandemic has actually changed this metric, sadly. So when we were coming up with our thesis and our presentation for How Women Invest, at the time, it was 2.7% of all venture capital dollars being allocated to female founders. And by October of this year, it was found that only 1.7% of venture capital dollars were invested with female founders. So we need to change that. That's the other part of our mission. We are purely gender lensed, a little different than other funds. We seek to disrupt that 1.7%. So we seek to invest in female founders that would otherwise meet the criteria of how a business would qualify or be certified as a women business enterprise. So it has to be a business that's majority led, controlled by that female founder.
Wow, that is a lot of information on how much work we need to do to make the change happen. And we'd love to hear what can we do, how is this going to work, and what is the How Women investment strategy that you have in place?
So we raised a $10 million fund in a pandemic and virtually. I think this is somewhat the true meaning of Deepavali, which is, I think our community felt hope over despair. And we brought this network together to form a very exciting entity here. And the core of it is that we are so diverse. We intentionally designed the fund as a $10 million fund because under the Jobs Act, which changed under the Trump administration, what used to be known as the 99 investor rule allows us now to bring up to 249 limited partners into the fund. And what does that mean? We've created access to venture capital investing. So while the traditional venture capital fund might have a $250,000 minimum investment, ours is $25,000. So we have many, as you can see, and this is a picture of our first closing, which took place in August. And 90% of our investors are women. 70% are actually first-time investors. We're soon to achieve our final close in December, so I can't wait to see what our numbers are in December when we have our final close. But I suspect that we have an even higher percentage of first-time investors in venture. You still need to be what's considered or just defined by the SEC as an accredited investor, but we have many first-time investors. This was a fund built out of community for community, right? We're also super proud and excited about the fact that we have of our female investors, over half are represented by a woman of color. So what does that mean? We have all of these women today, over 150 investors that represent various industries, so many areas of expertise. These are investors that are subject matter experts in all of these various areas. We have, which means we get tremendously diversified deal flow generation. I'd say 90% of our deal flow has come through our LP base. We have a Slack channel where we introduce opportunities. We have a website where founders can come and submit their investment opportunity and to see if they meet our investment criteria. But I think this is really the true differentiating factor. We have a dedicated investment council that's comprised of myself and Julie, but also 4 other women that are experienced portfolio managers in impact investing, in private equity investing, in venture capital investing. But we are leveraged by this beautiful ecosystem. And we seek to be collaborative with other VCs, not just other gender-lensed funds, but traditional venture-lensed funds. So while our investment council, we can't be experts in every industry, we can be expert investors in every industry because we bring an LP. For example, Sonia, who spoke earlier on the first panel, she's an LP in our fund, and she just joined us for this journey where we conducted due diligence on a company that represents the future of work. But because of her various areas of expertise, she was able to lend some very good insights on the opportunity, on the competitive landscape, on what it means to be a SaaS-based business, serving enterprise relationships. So we won't invest in a company unless we have a limited partner that can act as a subject matter expert. And sometimes we bring two LPs to that conversation. What I most love is that every time a company makes a pitch and introduces their firm, they're always aghast at seeing this virtual room of all women decision makers in our virtual conference room.
That's fantastic. And I remember that Julie had mentioned earlier that even the whatever investment commit is need to be made, it can be divided across multiple years, which gives an opportunity for people to participate in an easy, step-by-step manner.
Absolutely, yes. We have, that's a little bit different. Most venture capital funds will call whenever they see the need. With so many investors in our fund, we try to make it simple, where we have 4 capital calls on an annual basis.
Fantastic. So even if you're contributing 40,000, you can just do 10 a year, or 6 to 10 a year. So that's fantastic. Well, I'd love to also touch upon the giving part, because giving back is core to any organization. So tell us about the mission of How Women Give.
Absolutely. So through How Women Give, we donate and provide grants. So I think this is just a recurring theme within How Women Lead. We're multifold, and I should say even the fund itself, multi-mission fold. We have maybe a triple bottom line if you think about it. We're not only investing in female investors, we're not only bringing and creating wealth creation events for our investors, for the female founders, but we also donate a portion of the proceeds of our exits, so a portion of our profits back to How Women Lead, so that we can continue its good mission, which includes How Women Give. And the grants and investments have been made in Bay Area, marginalized Bay Area communities, and that has continued since 2015. Oh,
a question from the audience on how does one join this amazing movement?
So my email address is erica@howwomeninvest.com. You can go to How Women Lead and become a member of our network. It doesn't cost anything to be part of the community. We have events, and for those events, we do, I think, charge for some of those events, like the participation in Women on Boards this past week. But it is a nonprofit entity, and absolutely would encourage everyone to be part of the network, linking, learning, and leading like Atiya.
Absolutely. I think you're going to get a bunch of emails from Atiya members. So, our time is short, and this was a fantastic rapid fire session. Is there any final advice you'd like to leave the audience?
Well, I would say recognize your worth, and that comes in multiple forms, whether you have background, all of you have expertise, experiences that you should share, raise the ecosystem, expand, think about your go-to-market strategy, but in the sense of community, land and grab, right? Land and expand. So recognize your worth, recognize your wealth, educate others, volunteer, and invest. Vote with your investment dollars.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And back to you, Janaki and Priya.
Thank you, Preethy. Thank you, Erika. That was an amazing session. Wow, so many amazing people, so much knowledge. I'm just having a ball. So inspirational, right? All of these. So many takeaways, but I think for me, the biggest takeaway has been that, women can and are doing like some really amazing things, right? And, but,
especially if they help each other. I think we've sort of seen that one theme resonate across all the different sessions, that, there's room at the top for more than one woman. So definitely, once you get there, help others behind you, right? Reach out, open doors. And definitely, you don't have to think of yourself as a woman and limit yourself, but do reach out to the sisterhood. So there was sort of like, the two sides of the same message. What about you, Janaki? What did you think? You're muted, Janaki.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Priya?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so like you said, spot on. Every single discussion was so illuminating, right? Women need each other for support, right? When we're making the progress that we need more female role models. These are some of the takeaways from me, right? This event by ATEA definitely reminded not just me, everybody in the room, that we are fully competent, right? So we should wholeheartedly believe in ourselves. I know I learned a lot of takeaways, like Erika mentioned, recognize your worth, recognize your wealth, and build this ecosystem, bring all of that up together. So that's amazing. That's a key takeaway, if I say that. And I'm sure our audience agree with that, and they have learned a lot. So with that said, I think we should just go on with the final video.
Hi. Back in our channel. Yeah, that was fantastic. I think Tamil சொல்லணும்னா சுப்பிரமணிய பாரதி புதுமை பெண்ணை பத்தி கண்ட கனவு வந்து இன்னைக்கு எவ்வளவு தூரம் வந்திருக்குங்கிறத நம்ம எல்லாரும் பார்க்க முடியுது. So really it was so fantastic to hear from so many accomplished women today, especially the last session by Erika Cramer and Preethy. Really learned. There's only 1.7% of the women founders are getting funding from venture capitalists, and this is going to change. I mean, seeing her efforts on how women invest. See that 13,000 women in her network. That's an amazing achievement. So we look forward to great things. I think, and I want to say one or two more things here. The VC panel session and the trailblazers and the keynotes were all amazing. We even learned to, how to become the next VC, right? I think Janaki, you said it right earlier. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you both, Janaki and Priya, for emceeing today's event, and thank all the panelists and speakers. And I thank ATA's National Executive Committee, including Ram Nagappan, Shiva Mupanar, Prabhakar Murugaya, as well as Prakash, and thank everyone who helped behind the scenes for the success of this event. And we're hoping to have more of these going into 2021. And you have heard a lot about Digital Accelerator and other initiatives from ATA. And I think we plan to have many in the coming year. And I think at this time, I want to thank all volunteers and also the initiative that we have taken up with Tamil Nadu government and their support in providing grants to qualified startups going forward. I think you see the slide. There's a bunch of activities that we are planning and working on that's going to help, especially all the aspiring entrepreneurs, who have just started companies, who want to grow, raise money and get mentorship. And there's also a separate effort for women focus. So I would encourage everyone to become a member, whether as a regular member or if you're representing a corporate, you can join as a corporate. And if you're representing a venture capital firm or an accelerator, feel free to sign up and be part of this great ecosystem that we are building. And we look forward to see you all in the next event. And thanks again.
Thank you, Lena. I just want to say that we absolutely need male allies, and then you, Ram, and Prakash, and so many of you working behind the scenes and putting us in the forefront, and then giving us this platform to be getting these events out for us. It's amazing, and I personally want to thank you all for this opportunity. Priya and I had this with you, and 2021 is going to be a breakout year for all of us, and especially for ATA, and we are all very excited for it. So I would like to close this by saying, please join us on this journey and visit us on the website and follow us on social media, like Lena said. And thank you all so very much for joining us on your precious Saturday, giving your morning valuable time to us. And with that said, you guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend. We look forward to interacting with you on any medium possible, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we have all these newsletters coming up as part of our new website. Please visit and let us know your feedback. Let us know how we can help you better. How can we bring more such programs to you? And we're all here for that. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of the weekend.
Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.
Lena, I cannot hear you. You're mute.
Last word.
Correct. Thanks, Lena. Thank you, Priya.
Thanks. Bye-bye.